The Philadelphia Inquirer's Carrie Rickey called this movie a likable comedy with many pratfalls, a couple laugh-out-loud moments, and a deep understanding of pageant superficiality. A.O. Scott of the New York Times said it seems happily, deliberately second-rate, as if its ideal audience consisted of weary airline passengers. And Rolling Stone critic Peter Travers wrote, "This miss is a mess." On this episode of Ruined Childhoods, we decide the fate of Miss Congeniality.
Sequel. Reboot. Which one will it be? It's the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
Greetings, you beautiful starfighters, you.
Oh, is that some sort of pageant type of thing? Is that William Shatner?
You know, life is a big pageant, and our listeners are beautiful people.
Okay.
So, yes, that's in the spirit of pageantry and of beauty, both within and without, in the spirit of February.
Yes. I'm happy to be wrapping up February, to be honest. There's just been so much federal government nonsense going on, not just in the movies we've been watching, but just it's easy to just be reminded of all of the troubles that we have in our country. And then it'll be nice to, I was going to say, get out of that, but I know that our next movie, which we're about, if you listen closely, you might hear us say the name of the movie that we're covering on the next episode. That's not going to make it any easier, huh? Okay,
yeah,
fine.
No lying there. We're talking about, but hey, we're talking about Miss Congeniality, and honestly, looking at our month of FBI related movies, really the only serious, the only ones meant to be taken seriously were Silence of the Lambs and the Hannibal Lecter films. Point Break,
right?
To an
and
extent.
I would say that of the four that we've covered this month, the ones that were more enjoyable for me to watch were Silence of the Lambs and Point Break, because we got the perspectives of both sides of things. Not to say that serial killers and bank robbers are in any way the protagonists of the film, but we connect with them in a different level from the way that we did in Miss Congeniality. I mean, we get the perspective of the antagonist. And then also in Feds, there really is no antagonist. It's just themselves.
Like the system?
Kind of?
No, it's not even the system. It's not even the system.
Yeah, it's people who are kind of their friends.
Because Fred Dalton Thompson's character is
he's
somewhat
fine.
Supportive.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's fine.
I mean, more supportive than Keanu Reeves' superior in Point Break.
Yeah.
The John C. McGinley character. And in Miss Congeniality, you have Ernie Hudson,
who is more supportive in the second one.
Yes, and less present in the second one.
But he wasn't that present in the first one either.
No. But yeah, it's more Treat Williams, kind of taking over as the
that's true,
the superior in Miss Congeniality, Part 2.
Armed and Fabulous.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
We'll talk about the cast. We'll talk about the movies. We'll talk about the genre. Because I've definitely enjoyed. I would say I enjoyed, like you enjoyed, Point Break and Silence of the Lambs, enjoyed revisiting those because aside from that, they were both released in the same wonderful movie year, 1991. They were both, they're just they're favorites. They're they're classics, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I know that Miss Congeniality is certainly a beloved film by a lot of people. This was my first time seeing it, and I understand why there would be the appeal. It came out in 2000, and that was a time when I think that the pageant thing was sort of like ripe. In 99 Drop Dead Gorgeous came out, and even though that wasn't like a blockbuster hit or anything, it was certainly more of an underground sleeper.
It's a cult. It's a cult classic.
Yeah, it was kind of an instant cult classic. And I feel like that really was like, oh, there's a market for, comedies about the pageant scene. And
although sorry, I interrupted.
You said although?
Although what's interesting was that I had read that Miss Congeniality had originally been pitched. So like Donald Petrie was the director, but he was not always the director. And the previous director, who has not been mentioned by name in anything
Robert
I've read,
Redford.
Fort Red Border to you, sneakers. It was not Phil Alden Robinson either. I don't think it was. But anyway, the director was pitching it much more as a parody or a spoof or satire on beauty pageants. And it's like, well, Drop Dead Gorgeous got there first.
And I mean, I'm sure that Miss Congeniality was, being filmed long before Drop Dead Gorgeous came out, but like...
Right. But also, so Miss Congeniality falls into, and I'm going to a piece that was posted on Decider in December 2020, around the 20-year anniversary of Miss Congeniality, released in December 2000. And the writer here, Charles Bramesco, talks about Miss Congeniality as being part of it's a genre that the writer says he's mentally labeled as the system works movies, meaning that they're formulaic. He says literal by the book script writing, but it's reliable. It's comfort food.
Yeah, I mean, this is a movie that, now that it's in its, coming up on 22 years, I guess if December 2000 is when it came out, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since this movie came out, and there are certainly things about it that do not age well. There's a lot of problems with it that honestly should have been considered at the time. What are you kind of like scratching your chin for?
Oh, no, nothing, because I have some more. I have some quotes from Donald Petrie on that.
Don't you want some quotes from old Johnny Richardson over here?
Oh, no, I do. I was just doing the, like, I have something to add on this topic, but like continue.
Well, why don't we do a synopsis of Miss Congeniality first? And if
we could do that.
Yeah, let's do that. For anybody who hasn't seen Miss Congeniality, such as myself until a few days ago, this one's for you. Gracie Hart has always been hard as nails, so it makes perfect sense that she became a no-nonsense FBI agent. After a mission gone awry, Gracie puts her colleagues at risk in order to take down a baddie alive. That's when the Bureau catches wind of a suspected terrorist called the Citizen, whose next target will be the Miss United States pageant. In order to thwart the Citizen's plot, the FBI needs to plant an agent in the pageant. After a series of sexist speculation, the Bureau decides that Gracie is the woman for the job. Gracie Hart, a.k.a. Gracie Lou Freebush, a.k.a. Miss New Jersey, does her best to shed her slovenly ways thanks to the help of posh pageant expert Victor Melling, who seems endlessly exasperated by Gracie's slobby instincts. As Gracie works her way up the pageant system, she befriends the naive and seemingly simple Miss Rhode Island, who the FBI also suspects is the Citizen. But when Gracie follows her instincts, she ends up defying the FBI and catching the Citizen with a split second to spare. You looked baffled.
Except she doesn't catch the Citizen.
What do you mean she doesn't catch the Citizen?
there's a twist. The citizen she catches is not the citizen.
Explain who you're referring to, and this might get into
Spoiler alert.
territory.
Yeah, so Gracie, so the actual conspirators here are and I'm blanking on the character name, but Candice Bergen plays the Kathy Morningside, or who's not
Kathy
the
Morningside.
citizen. She's she and her son are doing a copycat.
Oh,
And then they bust the actual.
I thought that they were saying that the person that that the FBI caught was a copycat.
No, they're saying that was the actual one, because then there's a whole exposition scene with Morningside and her son where he's like, yeah, but they already caught the actual citizen. She's like, yeah, that's definitely a bump in the road, but it's a copycat. Remember, she had all those other copycat letters that she was gonna send.
You know what, Dan? I stopped paying attention for 2 seconds, and it doesn't change the way I see this movie.
Is this what? This doesn't change everything for you?
No,
that you know that Candice
all right,
Bergen.
fine. So the FBI. Okay. So define the FBI in catching the conspirators with a split second to spare. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were just being cagey to not give away the spoiler.
Well, I mean, I tried to not give away the spoiler. This is a 21-year-old movie, but what are you going to do? So, and also, I feel like it's kind of obvious the entire time that there's something super shady about Kathy Morningside.
Totally.
Yeah. But Candice Bergen is amazing. Yeah, let's run down the cast list here. So we have Sandra Bullock, of course, as Gracie Hart, Michael Caine as Victor Melling, Benjamin Bratt is Agent Eric Matthews, who is the obviously going to be falling in love with Sandra Bullock's character, and is kind of there razzing her the whole time. But then as she gets pretty, he starts to like her. And that's a little cringy. Yeah, Candice Bergen is Kathy Morningside. William Shatner is Stanley Fields, who's the Miss USA pageant's kind of host and face of the pageant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's great. I loved him. And then we have Heather Burns as Miss Rhode Island. And
who delivers possibly the most famous line from this movie.
Which is funny because I had always remembered that line. It must have been in the trailer, or it's just been memed so much that it's gotten in my head. But I think that for a long time I just assumed that it was in Drop Dead Gorgeous. I think that I just attached it to that. But no, it's the describe your perfect date. And she says,
yeah, it's
April 25th.
It's definitely one of those lines that would fit in Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is why I love it in this movie, because it's such a break from.
It's great, and the delivery is perfect, and it's why it is the most remembered line from this movie.
Yeah, yeah. Also, just really clever, clever writing there.
No, for sure. So. Yeah, Miss Congeniality, it's full of problems. There's definitely the scene where they're going through every FBI agent and putting them through this software that somehow magically puts them into swimsuits.
Yeah. It's one of those it only exists in these type of movies type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's got everything from misogyny to homophobia in that.
All
in
wrapped
that
into one montage.
Yeah.
And then we have, there's definitely lots of fat shaming going on. And then there's, making fun of eating disorders, and not in that montage, but throughout the movie.
Right.
And it's all very much this is supposed to be a pro-feminism movie, but it's just taking down everything else in its path.
Right. Yeah. Which kind of, when you put it in context, and that's something that Petrie says, was that a lot, like if it were to be made today, a lot of it, which by the way, he's also on record saying he doesn't think it should be like rebooted, and that's another conversation for later in the episode. But, he kind of talks about how, a lot of it wouldn't make it. Wouldn't make the cut because of just kind of advanced attitudes. It makes me wonder though, like for 2000, was this forward thinking enough? I mean, especially after like it's almost 10 years after Silence of the Lambs, where we have that like sexism in the FBI tackled in a much more serious and realistic manner.
Yeah, it
Feds,
matters. It matters.
Yeah. Great Jody. And then, like Feds, where it's dealt with maybe on an equal level.
Yeah, at least I feel like Feds does a better job of, addressing feminism and, women's rights in the agency than this movie. Where, and there are some Sandra Bullock movies that I really like. Speed, for example. And that's a totally badass movie. She's great in it and everything. But I really have a problem with, and this happens also in Love Potion #9, where she's like ugified so that she can be beautified. And I cringe at the way that she portrays herself as this like gross version of herself.
Yeah, and it's like the whole idea of, if she snorts when she laughs,
right,
and like wears sweats and
eats ice cream,
eats ice cream. Yeah. Actually, I would say so. The sequel to this came out in 2005.
Armed and Fabulous.
Armed and Fabulous. I would actually say Armed and Fabulous is, I mean, it's a few years later, but especially in terms of how it treats, because you have two female leads in that, Sandra Bullock and Regina King, who plays another agent. And I feel like it does a slightly better job of addressing the double standard that women face.
There's one thing I do want to add about this idea of movies not aging well because of, us being maybe more progressive thinkers after 21 years. And I want to say that it's not necessarily that the movie doesn't portray things in the best way. It's that we should have known better collectively. And like at that time, it should have been, these things should have been called out then rather than 21 years later. And and it's not necessarily that you couldn't make that movie today. It's that movie should not have been made that way then. So that's just my 2 cents on that subject.
I think in the last 20 years, we've learned that there are a whole lot more people that when they see things that others might see as just harmless, there are people who see that and feel bad, like that someone could go to the movie, someone with an eating disorder could go see this movie and hear eating disorder jokes, and that's all they're thinking about then. And I don't know, because I was not, it was 20 years ago. I feel like I personally was a lot less aware, but I feel like the world in general was less aware of the harm that things like this were doing.
Well, in the year 2000, the internet wasn't what it is now. This is, a few years before social media really began. And that's when things really started to take off about like our collective social awareness of what other people are going through. Yeah. And that's unfortunately, in some ways, it unfortunately took the need for like this crescendo of incidences of bad things happening because of people confronting these, difficult issues with themselves, such as eating disorders, that, it became more of a public thing where there was an internet awareness around what's going on that made us have to address it and really look at it for what it is.
I mean, just people putting their stories out there, and like someone saying like, I was going to see Miss Congeniality to, have a laugh and escape from my problems, but it just put me in a funk.
Yeah.
And like now, you didn't have those in 2000. You didn't have people going online and talking about those experiences and sharing. And I think now that we do, it's a topic that that comes up frequently when discussing outdated material, that when people who maybe don't get it are saying like, what, like, oh, it wasn't a problem then. Yeah, it was, you just didn't know about it.
Right.
No one made you aware of the problem, but there was a problem.
Yeah, and it wasn't until a year later in 2001 when Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back informed us about the website moviepoopshoot.com, where people go to shit on movies on the internet. Anyway, so Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous. I'll give a little tiny synopsis of what's going on. All right, so after the enormous press coverage surrounding the Miss United... I've been having just such a long week. It's Tuesday. After the enormous press coverage surrounding the Miss United States pageant, Gracie Hart's ability to go undercover has come to an end, so Gracie is made the new face of the FBI, requiring her to do the talk show circuit and sign copies of her new book for Octavia Spencer. But when Miss Rhode Island and pageant official Stan Fields get kidnapped, Gracie and her new partner Sam Fuller work together to find out what happened and catch the bad guys. And I want to run down this cast list because this movie, although not very good, has some like heavy hitters in here who at the time, Octavia Spencer, was this her first time in front of a camera? I know that she did work behind the scenes.
No. Octavia Spencer, she's been popping up in things forever.
Was it The Client?
Probably.
I think that we pointed her out like as like a nurse in like The Client or something. Anyway.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Octavia Spencer popped up in these roles for for years before she broke out. She was a known face before a known name. Right.
So let me just run through a little bit of the cast. I'll just mention some of the new people that we have in here. We have, of course, Regina King as Sam Fuller, she's great. I think that she's fantastic in this. I love Regina King. She's amazing. We have Enrique Murciano as Jeff Foreman. Let's see. We have Dietrich Bader as Joel, who's kind of the Michael Caine analog for this, but like very much on a budget. He's meant to kind of be there to make her look good.
Yeah, and that performance is about 5 years past its time, at least.
And here's the thing, is that in the first one, Michael Caine plays somebody who his homosexuality is alluded to, but it's not hitting you over the head with it. It is not saying like there's no affectations. There's nothing aside from just some lines of dialogue that you could, blink and you miss them. But Dietrich Bader is very over the top, like, oh, capital G, gay.
Much more along the lines of a Drop Dead Gorgeous level performance.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that really stands out. Of course, Dolly Parton. And Regis and Joy Philbin. Eileen Brennan is in there. She plays William Shatner's
mother.
Yeah.
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman. How could I forget Nick Offerman? Nick Offerman and Abraham Ben-Ruby, aka Larry Kubiak from Parker Lewis Can't Lose, as the kidnappers. Nick Offerman is so good in this. I've been watching him in Pam and Tommy on Hulu, which he's so good.
Yes.
Yeah. Nick Offerman, just the best. And it's funny seeing him in roles before Parks and Rec, where you're just like, yeah, he's been doing this for a long time. He's just been there and we haven't noticed him.
Nope.
He was the bad guy in Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous.
I know. How did we not, how did we not know his name after that?
That's on us.
That was a swing and a miss there. And of course, as the moral center of the film, if you will, the young girl who idolizes Gracie Hart,
Sure,
and who kind of is the anchor for Gracie Hart's personal growth.
She bookends the movie.
She bookends the movie, exactly. So playing the character of Priscilla is young Molly Gottlieb, who
Young at the time.
Young, yes. Yeah, well, still young. I mean, compared to us.
Right, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, but no, Molly was someone who I knew. She went to the drama camp, the Performing Arts Center where I worked. And
I did not know that.
Yeah. So, and I'm not going to tell too much of the story because I had the opportunity to chat with Molly and, had a little interview with her about her experience and how she ended up working on Miss Congeniality too, Armed and Fabulous. And so I don't want to tell too much of the story. I'll let her do the talking.
Yeah, let's listen to that right now.
Greetings, Starfighters. I am here with a very, very special guest, Miss Molly Gottlieb, who played Priscilla in Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous. Molly, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me, Dan. Well, I'm really excited to be here.
It's a pleasure. And to fill in our audience, I've known Molly since she was 10, 9,
maybe even 9 or 8,
somewhere around there. Yeah. And through drama camp where I was an instructor.
Yep.
And Molly was a student, obviously an excellent one to reach the big screen. So anyway, I thought maybe you could just kind of catch us up, let us know how did you get into performing in general, and then then we'll hear about how you ended up in Miss Congeniality, but what sparked the flame?
Yeah, so my acting career was honestly an accident. It began when I was around 9 years old when I went to Stage Struck, the performing arts camp where Dan was one of my counselors. And there was a children's talent manager that was scouting and had the campers kind of read lines from commercial scripts. So I didn't really know what was going on, but I thought it would be really, really fun to read from a double stuffed Oreo script. So I gave it a shot. And I really wasn't interested in acting at the time, to be honest. I really joined the camp as a way to get over my very crippling stage fright of singing, which was my main passion at the time. But at the camp, we had to get involved in acting and singing and dancing. So I just took a stab at reading the lines, and then the rest was history. I signed with the manager and then started auditioning from there on out.
And yeah, I remember that. I remember that double stuff copy. I'm pretty sure.
No way.
I am pretty sure I remember because I feel like I had just taken a class on camera and advertising and all that, and I'm pretty sure I just brought a lot of that stuff in when the manager was I have some vague recollection of that. So
that's amazing.
What other jobs did you do, or did you just nail, was Miss Congeniality the first one, or what?
I wish that would be so cool, but it was my first feature film audition. But before that, I guess I had a recurring role in Law and Order: Criminal Intent, right. And then mainly sort of national network commercials and voiceover work for brands like Staples, Burger King, Toyota, Verizon, Citizens Bank, and Carnival Cruise. And then, Miss Congeniality was the first feature film, and I was just kind of given sides to memorize ahead of the audition, and then that took place with a casting agent. And then after that first round, I got a call back afterwards, and then the director was involved, and then just waited a few weeks and then found out that I got the role.
So it was a few weeks process. It wasn't ongoing months of.
Yeah. I mean, I think it could have been maybe around a month or so, the first audition, and then a few weeks later for the callback, and then a few weeks after that, and then that was how I found out.
Man, what, like,
So yeah, it wasn't too long of a process, to be honest.
and was I would imagine that would be a pretty nerve-wracking couple of weeks there to wait.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how did you, I guess, how did you prepare? And also, like, how did you, if you were able to get your mind off of it, how did you, I guess you still had school?
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. I still had school, so I was able to keep my mind occupied. But no, oh my God, I was thinking about it every day. I was, I was, at the time I was only 10 or so. So I'm asking my mom, can you call my manager? Like, ask her, did I get it? Did I get it? But in terms of, yeah, preparing for it, I was always such a ball of anxiety for every single audition that I ever did. And because of that anxiety, I tended to procrastinate from actually learning my lines because I didn't want to face the reality of having to actually audition. So I tended to really only memorize my lines kind of a few hours or so before when I was on the train and just cram all that information in.
And I guess clearly it worked. Is that something like, do you find that works for you? Do you find that like works for you, that sense of urgency that like you can get it done, but you need that pressure? Is that, I feel like that's the procrastinator's pressure.
1000%.
Yeah.
Yes, I am an all or nothing person, and I have two modes. It's either do it now or do it never, and if I'm doing it now, it has to be right at the very last second.
And yeah, it's awesome because you can see like there's a lot of energy in your performance, and I watched it again recently after seeing it. I'm seeing it in the theater when it came out. We were all really excited for you, and but tell us a little bit about like what was the process once you started? Like, were there were there really rehearsals, or was it just kind of show up and do it? Yeah, walk us through it.
Yeah, it was kind of just show up and do it. I remember I had a little trailer and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But yeah, I had a little trailer, and then I just rehearsed some of my lines, of course, very like right before it was time to film. And yeah, I remember meeting Sandra Bullock for the first time on set, and I think she could tell how nervous I was. So I have this really strong memory of her kind of just putting her hands on my shoulders and jokingly kind of shaking me, being like, "Wake up, we have a lot of work to do today." And then immediately I just felt at ease. I think without that, I would have been absolutely terrified, but she just made it a really, really comfortable, embracing environment.
That's awesome. That's really, that's so cool. And she's not the type of person who you hear horror stories about. People like, you hear a lot of positivity. No. So I kind of would have been surprised, but it's really nice to hear that. And that she kind of took that role as well. She should. But she could easily, be a diva. So it sounds like she's not 100%. Much of a diva. Yeah. And I'm not curious to know, like,
she's so nice.
Who else was there on set to help you, to kind of help you out, whether it's making you feel comfortable or coaching or, what was that like? Who was?
Yeah. To be honest, Sandra Bullock kind of offered me a lot of advice on the set. She really took the time to kind of talk to me between takes. She even kind of gave me some acting tips as well. And she was like, never take any acting lessons, which was great because I didn't really want to take lessons. So it was nice to have that sort of validation. I had an on-set tutor as well. So those were kind of the main two people that I kind of spoke to. But a fun fact, this wasn't actually a person that necessarily helped me out, but someone that I did talk to on set. It's really random, but Octavia Spencer was actually an extra in the movie.
I was wondering.
And she was behind me in line. during my scene where I'm at the book signing, and she's literally behind me, and we're just like chatting away, like Octavia Spencer.
That's so funny because I was, saw her in there and I was like, yeah, that's Octavia Spencer. And,
Did you?
And it was funny because I was gonna, these are the type of things I notice, and then I go on IMDb just to confirm. But she's one of those people who like you go back and you're like, wow, like Octavia Spencer's been in things forever. And I was wondering, I was like, I wonder what someone like that, someone who at that point wasn't really a known name, like, but she was a known face, and someone who had been on a lot of different sets, like what you would learn from someone like that. So that's so funny that, and what type of gems did she drop on you?
I know. I wish that I remembered our conversation. I just know that she was really, really nice and friendly. But if I had known, that was the Octavia Spencer at the time, I feel like I would have remembered a few more things.
Well, yeah, it's also, we're going back, almost 20 years, which is crazy.
And I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast this morning.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm like, I can remember that Octavia Spencer was an extra in this movie, but I can't remember why I walked to this side of the room. So that's where we are right now. Anyway, so then, okay, the movie wraps, or your part wraps rather. I imagine, like, for how long did you shoot for? Because you almost like you bookend the story. Where she's at first, we're like, oh wow, she has become a not so nice person, and then she redeems herself and comes back, and she like makes it up to you. So I imagine that you just kind of filmed that all together, or how did that work?
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting because I only had visibility into my own line. So it was really, really interesting kind of seeing how my part contributed to the whole story in the end. And as you say, I kind of, after seeing the movie, I realized how my character kind of symbolized that pre-pageant sort of not glamorous version of Sandra Bullock's character, Gracie Hart, that she'd lost sight of. And then, at the end of the movie, she reconnects to that previous version of herself. So it was really, really interesting to see that. I mean, I think it was only a few weeks or so. I remember we shot some of the scenes in New York, the book signing, and then the classroom. And then one of those scenes was reshot in LA. So I flew out there for a few weeks. But yeah, it was just a few weeks at a time, really. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so you really only had your lines. You didn't realize you were the moral core of this movie.
The
impetus
idea.
For her character growth, for Gracie's character growth.
Exactly. Yes.
And had you seen the original like before this came up, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so you were a fan. You were 100%. Into it.
Such a fan, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're part of the legacy. You're part of the story.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my God, it was the most exciting experience of my life getting to be in that movie as a kid. I loved the first movie, so it was incredible.
And how about, so like the final product? So you said the final product, you saw it all come together, and I mean, how could you not love it? Of course. What was that like? I remember, I have a memory. I remember like your mom rented out like the Milburn cinemas or something in Jersey for a big, like all the friends. But did you go to like the big like Hollywood premiere? I assume you did.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't go to the one in LA. I went to the one in New York, which I don't know if it was sort of like a mini version of the premiere, but it was some sort of premiere. And yeah, I got to go to that, which was really, really exciting. And I just remember I was really, really scared to watch it because as with age, my anxiety was kind of getting worse and worse. And I started really getting in my head when I was acting. And I started developing kind of weird habits. Like I remember vividly that I would be focusing so hard on like sitting still that I'd almost make my head like twitch. And it's kind of like when you're getting your hair done, if you're at the hair salon and they're telling you sit really still. So then all you could think about is sitting still. So you start making yourself not sit still. So I developed this habit of kind of feeling like I was losing control of my head a little when the camera was close to me. And I was convinced that it was going to be picked up on camera. So I was so scared to watch it. And then I remember just this huge relief when I saw it at the premiere. And I'm like, you can't tell that my head was shaking.
No idea. And I was watching, this was a 4K streaming. Yeah, no, you couldn't see it. Not at all.
Thank God.
So I mean, other than the uncontrollable head twitching, no. So after Miss Congeniality 2, so you kind of like, happened into this acting career.
Yeah.
What happened afterwards? What did you decide to pursue or not pursue?
Yeah, so I kept on acting until I'd say around 15 or so. I had that recurring role in Law and Order Criminal Intent. I did that again when I was around 14, and I did a few things here and there. But as I mentioned, I mean, my anxiety was just getting really, really bad with age, and I was really kind of doubting myself, especially since I couldn't control my head when filming. And I started kind of avoiding the anxious feelings by avoiding auditioning. Gradually just kind of fell out of it, which, I mean, it's really a shame because I wasn't able to pinpoint anxiety as the root cause of distancing myself from acting at such a young age. But I mean, if I had known then what I do now, I could have developed coping strategies and stuck with it. But as they say, youth is wasted on the young.
Well, I mean, have you ever thought about going back and doing even just some, I don't know, stage or whether even something small? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I'd honestly love to get back into acting, and I've thought about it, but it's sort of like, I don't even know how anymore. I've been out of the game for so long. I feel like you'd have to have an up-to-date reel, but if you can't audition unless you have a reel, but then how can I get a reel if I haven't had any projects? So it's really hard to figure out how to kind of get back into it,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, and you're in London currently. I wonder how it works there and how, I feel like
True.
you watch all these documentaries about like shows, BBC shows from like the 60s. I remember watching like the Monty Python documentary and it's like, oh yes, we just walked into the BBC and said, this is, we want to be on a show. And they said, okay, they gave us a show. And I imagine it's not like that anymore, but, but you are keeping busy these days, and why don't you bring us up to speed? What have you been up to, professionally, creatively? Hype your stuff.
Yeah. Will do. I mean, I always joke that my career peaked when I was 11, which is a joke, but also very true. I mean, I mentioned that I fell out of acting and started focusing more on school. And now I'm living in London and I work in advertising as a media planner. So essentially planning and buying ad campaigns. And then on the side, I spend my time writing half-finished songs that I sometimes post on Instagram, and I'm still battling my stage fright of singing through karaoke exposure therapy.
Karaoke, is that prescribed? Does your insurance cover that?
Self-prescribed, and I wish, because I've spent a lot of money at karaoke, let's be honest.
I mean, it's like, I feel like we're at that place where those self-care items really should be, like, some of that's got to be covered now. Like, we're there, right?
Really should be.
Yeah. Well, and of course, I can't let you go today before asking you if you were given the opportunity, if you were given a blank check to revive somehow the Miss Congeniality franchise in the form of a remake, reboot, a sequel, a prequel, a musical, a series, whatever, what would you do?
So I am the biggest fan of scary movies. So if I could revive this it would be in the form of some sort of a thriller. And at the end of the movie, where Gracie Hart asks me, you know, what do we want? And I say world peace, I'd say world destruction. And then I would be the kind of creepy kid in the horror movie and get to live out my dream of being in a horror movie.
So you would
so
be
it's very selfish reasons.
So would you be like her sidekick for most of it, and then we find out that you're the killer,
exactly.
Like, she damaged you so much as a child when she was such a biatch. And you've just, you're, you know, you could even have a pun about her being heartless. I don't know.
Ooh, that's good. That's really good.
So,
I mean, yeah, because when she tells me in the beginning to, you know, when I ask her to come to my book signing, and then she says, well, no, I'm not going to do that, but, you know, you could always like pull your hair back and keep it out of your face. And then I've just been harboring that resentment ever since.
Oh, maybe that's how you kill people.
And then she comes to the classroom.
Oh no, that's how you kill people. You scalp them by ripping their hair out from the front. You pull their hair back so much. Oh, this is a great idea. I love it. I was thinking, I was like, we got to bring your character back and have your like, you know, but I was thinking still like action comedy, but I love the direction you're taking it. That's fantastic. I'm now.
We can make it a dark comedy, thriller comedy.
You ever see Orphan? Have you ever seen that one, Orphan?
I love Orphan?
Yeah, like I'm thinking that kind of tone to it. Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
Yes.
So, I mean, would it be like a sequel? Would it be like Miss Congeniality 3?
Yeah. Exactly. It would go in a completely different direction from any of the other two, and it would just randomly become a psychological thriller / comedy.
You could do it like do the marketing like the Scream movies. Like you just like work the 3 into the title somewhere, and they're like one of the E's or something. I don't know.
I love it.
Well, Molly, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. It has been awesome catching up with you. And we don't say goodbye on Ruined Childhoods. We say good journey. So I wish you a good journey.
I love that. I wish you a great journey. Thank you so much for having me.
Dan, that was great.
That was, it was so good. I mean, man, if there's one thing this podcast has been great for, it's been reconnecting me with people who I have not talked to in a long time.
Yeah, no, that was great. I am thrilled because, you know, Molly Gottlieb is somebody who, if you go on like Wikipedia, that's not a name that's linked. So it's hard to find, you know, more information, and definitely good to just hear about things that went on behind the scenes and just kind of like what it's actually like to be in a movie with, at the time, one of the biggest actresses.
Yeah, I mean, still like
yeah, I don't know. I mean, she was definitely like in her absolute prime then.
Well, yeah. And it's nice to hear that she was like.
And I'm of course talking about Eileen Brennan.
Eileen Brennan,
yeah.
Yes. Eileen. I mean, man, Clue. You know, it's like, how do you work on a film with Eileen Brennan and not talk about Clue? No,
no kidding.
No, yeah, but Molly, and hey, Molly, you know, also seems like she struck up a little on-set friendship with Octavia Spencer.
That's never a bad thing.
So, no, it's really like it's really awesome, and I had been wondering about that as I said. So, and I thought Molly had a fun idea for bringing back Miss Congeniality.
Dark,
yeah, and fun.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go next because I want to say it before you say it.
Okay.
Has there been a Miss Congeniality musical?
You know, good question.
Because that to me felt like the obvious solution. No, it doesn't look like there has been any stage adaptation, but I feel like that could be done so easily here.
Yeah, it does seem to lend itself to the stage. uh, yeah, it hasn't been done yet, but it seems like one of those things that's just waiting to happen.
Sorry, guys. My puppy Rufio's got a case of the zoomies right now. In case you hear a little zipping around behind me.
Got it. So you want Miss Congeniality the musical?
Yeah. Let's forget Miss Congeniality 2. If we want to have some sort of reference to Nick Offerman and Larry Kubiak over there, Abraham Ben Ruby, is that his name?
Yeah.
He's come up so much on this podcast. I need to remember his last name. But stage musical, that's the way to do it. You could do so much with that. It's just perfect for it.
I like that. I think it makes sense. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially considering that, it's the whole idea of pageants and all that. And in thinking about how you would do this over. And I thought that what Miss Congeniality 2 did well was continue the story logically without involving another pageant.
Right.
And but I feel like now, like you couldn't do it, and it's more of a concept. Like, what else? Where are you gonna this kind of fish out of water concept? Which it reminded me a lot of Sister Act, and had some feeling like, especially the scene when she gets them the pizza and takes them out. It reminded me so much of like Sister Act when she sneaks out to the bar, and Kathy and Jimmy and Sister Mary Patrick follow her. So I was like thinking, like, where else do you put something like, and it was funny because I also started thinking of like Point Break, but more of like the Point Break remake, where it's like the concept is like, our criminals are into this very niche thing, and this agent happens to also be very experienced at this very niche thing.
Yeah.
Which Miss Congeniality is more like the original Point Break, where it's like he has
they
no
have to
idea
adapt,
how to serve. And so she has to adapt. So it's like, where else what else do you do with that? Do you have like something that takes place on a construction site? And I mean, like take the gender out of it. Well, just take the formula, right? Keep the formula, but just think, all right, like, are we gonna do something on a construction site, and are the criminals part of this construction crew because they're very close knit? And I mean, now it sounds like Point Break when I'm
I mean, if Miss Congeniality actually did go down the route where like Miss Rhode Island was this terrorist, then that would be more Point Breaky, because she forms this bond and makes that like friendship and connection. I don't know, but I feel like, I don't know, Gracie doesn't seem to really get as tied into the pageant itself until we're kind of told that she was in the second one. Like she does say something at the end of the first one. I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically about like how, there's good to be seen in pageants.
Right.
And but it's not like she's become Johnny Utah level involved in the system. I think that the entire movie of Miss Congeniality takes place over like 4 days. Like, it is not she's not there for very long.
It's short, and so I'm kind of like left with this, like, all right, beauty pageants are done, and I mean, look, I know there's still, I don't want to slam pageants,
right?
For I'm sure that there are still or scholarship programs. Sorry,
scholarship programs. That's right.
Candice Bergen in the movie, but I don't know. I feel like I was thinking, oh, you know what, ballet I thought was another one that it could work because it could work because somebody who is athletic, somebody who's naturally athletic could potentially, blend into the world of ballet, which is less problematic.
You know what,
than
Dan? You know what I'm starting to think about now?
brain donors?
No, the cutting edge.
I have that in my notes. The
Figure
cutting edge.
skating.
I have that in my notes because I was thinking about all the different ways. I was like, what's something that you could take someone who's never done this professionally before,
You get a
and
hockey
put them
player.
I mean,
knows
has
how
it
to
ever?
skate
Oh, you know what?
and has to train.
Has it ever been done? I'm trying to think, like, has it ever been done with like a televised talent show? Unfortunately, the only movie I can think about right now with one of those is God Bless America.
Yeah, I mean, there's like Eurovision, televised talent show.
like
Yeah.
a televised, like an X Factor type
Right.
thing where someone has to go undercover as a contestant. And I'm just trying to think of like how you could wind up, because you're taking the formula and you're putting it into you're reconfiguring it to work for, modern day. And it's one of the few like TV staples that's kind of still a thing, or these,
Right.
the Voice, America's Got Talent, all of these.
You know which one would actually work best for it is like The Masked Singer.
Oh, The Masked Singer, yeah.
Fraught with
that
controversy lately.
Yeah, well, God, who's
Bad decisions are being made.
Terrible,
Yeah.
terrible decisions. God, if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, there was an
Pick up a
episode,
newspaper.
Yeah, but no, it was not even worth it, because they had Rudy Giuliani,
Yeah,
as like the masked,
and they've had lots of
singer.
questionable, especially like politicians and government people who.
Yeah, but like
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin's like,
that's a little bit
like,
more to be expected.
Yeah. Anyway, you could
Anyway.
Anyway, you go into one of these, like, that would be some good fodder for a thing. You could have the host, the comical host. You could have the, uptight producer who, I imagine the uptight producer is someone who you think is going to be involved, and then they're not. Like, that's your red herring. So that might be the way to go. The Olympics
would be interesting, but I
think that was how I got to Cutting Edge. I think that was the chain.
Is it even possible to do a movie centered? Are there movies centered around the Olympics that aren't like,
Munich?
Well, that aren't. I was just about to say that aren't like, nonfiction. That is based on a real event. But I'm trying to think of like any kind of movie that's Olympics based.
About the actual Olympics that is not,
because I'm wondering if there are like some legal things that are protecting the Olympics from any type of like
that's
reference
really interesting
in,
now that I think
culture.
about it. Fictional movies about the Olympics.
Yeah, because there's gotta. I feel like that's one of those things, like how you can't say Super Bowl if you're profiting or something. You have to call it like the big game. I feel like there's got to be
everything that I'm seeing. Cool Runnings. Was a true story.
Cool Runnings, true story. Yeah.
Was the Cutting Edge not the Olympics?
I don't think that was the Olympics. I think it was something else.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything. So, oh wait, Personal Best. Maybe that might have been a fictional Olympics movie. I've never seen it. I'm looking at a list on the internet. So
okay.
It Personal Best. It's 3 highly ranked athletes striving for the national team. And it's got Mariel Hemingway in it.
Oh, okay.
So I guess there's some like Olympic, but no, you're right. Most of them are non-fictional. So this would be a good opportunity to have a fun action comedy. I do feel like the idea of involving terrorism with the Olympics, though, is a bit.
Yeah. Well,
like,
it doesn't have to be terrorism. It could be, I mean, bank robberies, were
right. It could be
sufficient.
theft.
Yeah.
It could be some type of theft, and that like maybe they're planning on robbing the Olympics, and like there's this big.
Maybe they're using the Olympics to source a bunch of data to like perform elder abuse, by getting people to give their social security numbers. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
what's something where it's just like, ooh, that's wrong, but like it's not something that it's like, blowing anything up.
Yeah. No, I mean, I suppose, I think like stealing, and it's really, I'm imagining all of a sudden like this really great, a scene with like everybody in their tracksuits, and we're trying to like the cop, Miss Congeniality, whoever it is, what are we going to call them in this like bronze medal? And they're like,
were you suggesting their name is Bronze Medal?
No, I was suggesting the title of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Bronze Medal. like her name isn't Miss Congeniality. It's like that's.
I thought that you were saying
wins.
Whatever their name is, like Bronze Medal.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Brahns. It's a Danish name.
Okay.
Bronze. It's
sure.
It's Danish. Yeah. There you go. You don't. I clearly don't know any Danish people. So. Just trust me on this. Don't ask anyone.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, right now I'm just making shit. I'm just lying. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready to share. Are you ready? Are you ready to unveil?
I'm ready. I have not found a way to shoehorn this title for this movie in at all.
You lying?
I'm lions. But the rest of it, there's nothing. Nobody goes on the lamb.
Well, we talked about Silence of the Lambs.
We talked about Silence of the Lambs,
and we could have definitely talked about someone going on the lamb.
All right, Dan, what's the next movie?
Yeah, the next movie we're doing, because it's going to be March, and we're doing the best movie to do for March. Lions for Lambs.
That's right.
From 2007, directed by Robert Redford, starring Robert Redford, Tom Cruise, and Meryl Streep.
What a lineup.
What a lineup.
What a lineup.
Yeah, I don't know who the lambs were, but we got the lions in this one, the acting lions. Yes.
Yeah. I'm looking
excited.
forward to it. I am very much looking forward to watching Lions for Lambs. It's streaming on Amazon Prime Video. And I want to just give an extra special shout out to Molly Gottlieb for chatting it up with you. That's so cool to get that insider perspective on Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabuloso.
No, it was really awesome. And actually, I can't believe I'm just mentioning this now, but that was the only one of the two that I saw in the theater. I didn't see the original Miss Congeniality. In fact, I never saw it all the way through until the other night. I'd seen bits and pieces, but I saw Armed and Fabulous in the theater.
Did you now? Was it because of Molly? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure when you worked with her, and yeah.
No. I mean, it was like I'm pretty sure I at least helped coach her, not for the movie, but for in the interview she was talking about the audition for the there was the talent agent that kind of came to the camp, and I was one of the people coaching kids on those auditions.
Yeah, well, you're no Octavia Spencer, but you'll do.
I'm no Octavia Spencer, but hey, look, I've got a decent track record.
Yeah. Well, Dan, track record would also be a good title for a movie about the Olympics.
Oh, about with the Olympics. Yes. Oh, brilliant. Yes.
Oh, he's still got it. All right. Well, Dan, as you are, I don't even know what's even going on in this stupid movie.
As I'm sashaying down a spiral staircase.
Yeah, as you're learning to walk in heels, I wish you a good journey.
Good. I walk damn well in heels, by the way, and good journey.
From sea to shining sea, like Lady Liberty, she reigns over all she sees. She's beauty and she's grace. She's queen of 50 states. She's elegance and taste. She's Miss United States.
She's